Hello BookTube. Today I'm doing the alphabet soup tag. A is for author. This tag was created by Shawn the Book Maniac. Is link to his original video will be down below. So the special thing I'm going to be doing is all of the books I'll be talking about will be science fiction and fantasy, because I haven't really talked about science fiction and fantasy much so far this year except for my book haul. So let's begin. A is for author. A good book by an author whose first name or last name starts with the letter A. First names are easy, so bonus points for a surname, double bonus points for first and last name, which I'm not entirely sure where the points come in, but anyway. So the author of a really good book whose name has an A in it is The Bloodprint by Ausma Zehanat. I've talked about this book several times already, and I really enjoy it. It is fantastic. I did have a bit of an issue when I first read it, but I came back to it and absolutely loved it. I loved its sequel, The Black Khan, and I am hopefully very soon going to be reading The Blue Eye. But definitely, if you have not checked out The Bloodprint by Ausma Zehanat, you definitely should. Number 2. A is for, well, A. The last book you read with the article one-letter word A in the title. Now, I can't off the top of my head recall of a book with A in the title. So I'm going to go with one that I've just recently picked up. This is a Snake Lies rating, Volume 3 in the Legends of the Condor Hero series by Yong. And of course, I mean, every book so far in the series has A in the title. A Hero Born, a Bond Undone, and a Snake Lies rating. I'm looking forward to rereading A Hero Born and reading A Bond Undone and Snake Lies rating. So, number 3. A is for Angry, a book that pissed you off. That goes to Amberlough by Lara, Elena, Donelly. As I've mentioned before in another tag, there are some parts about this book that I rather quite like. The dénouement culture of Amberlough is very well done. It's just, there's also a political plot and a spy thriller plot, and the spy thriller plot pisses me off. Just actively pisses me off. It is just so badly done. And I think the book would have been just so much better had the focus been exclusively on the cabaret culture, the underground culture of Amberlough, and the politics were just a creeping menace, which would have been far more believable than sort of incompetence playing incompetence, which, the political thing was. So, Amberlough, a novel that pissed me off. 4. A is for Awesome, a top read of recent years. Another book I've mentioned several times. This is Radiance by Catherynne and Valente. I really love this book. It is a alternate history in which the solar system is habitable. I mean, in our reality, Earth is the only habitable planet in this solar system. In the reality of Radiance, all of them, Earth, the Moon, Mars, Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, all of them are habitable. And each of them have its own unique culture, sort of issues and stuff. And the moon is basically Hollywood. Venus is the place where, the world where the substances that allow humans to colonize the rest of the solar system comes from. So Radiance is the story of Severin Unk, a documentary filmmaker who, during one of her movie projects to Venus, disappears. That a few years previously there had been an incident where a village was completely wiped out. All of the inhabitants, save one boy, disappeared. And the boy just walked around in a circle. The story caught the attention of Severin Unk, and she decided to make a film about it. So during her filming, many strange things occurred, and she eventually herself disappeared. Her father, Percival Unk, was a filmmaker himself, a director. He filmed mainly like dramas and gothic movies and stuff like that. And the disappearance of his daughter constantly eats at him. So he tries to deal with his grief by creating a series of movies, varying different movies, to try to work his way through what happened to her. And this is just a very fascinating novel. Just absolutely fascinating. And very well written, which I do have some issues with. Catherynne and Valente is very hit or miss with me. This was very much a hit, but as I will talk about later, some of her other works that I have in my collection are very much misses. 5. A is for a book whose title includes at least 3 A's. Admittedly, I probably could have gone with Ausma Zehanat Khan because, I think it's the title. Well, I could have changed that one to, like, author because she has, like, 4 A's in her name. But anyway, so I went with We Are the Dead by Mike Shackle. Now, in this case, there are, like, so there's only 2 right here. But if you go for the full title, which is also the series name, there would be 4 A's. Because We Are the Dead is the first book in the Last War series. So, anyway, I haven't read this yet, and I really need to get to it. So hopefully I can get through all of my library books and get to reading some of the stuff I have myself. A is for annoying. A character that drove you up the wall. Meet Rune St. John from the tarot sequence. He just, I don't know. On the one hand, I mean, I really kind of like him as a character, but on the other hand, it's just how Edwards writes him. He's just so annoying. It's, yeah, I don't know if it's, yeah, it's just, he's annoying in a way that I find it difficult to explain. I don't know if it's, maybe it's how he goes about it's how he goes about his adventures. There's quite a bit of hypocrisy in what he does. There's quite a bit of just really annoying sort of character traits he has. It's just he is absolutely an annoying character for me. A is for ambivalent, a book you're still not sure how you feel about. The Last Son and the Hanged Man. So this just worked out perfectly. I mean, I've talked several times before about me being unsure about these books. On the one hand, they are really well written. The plots are phenomenally well done. It's just, I don't think Katie Edwards is really, I don't think he really does the characters very well. Particularly in like their interactions and their character arcs. And this, I think, is best seen, I think, in the character of Max, who I'm not entirely sure if Katie Edwards quite knows what to do with him, and also Quinn St. Nicholas too. So it's I'm just not entirely sure about these books. I definitely need to go back and reread them. Sorry about the glare on the hangman. So anyway, oh yeah. So I love them and I find them frustrating. But I mean, they have stuck with me, and they do stick with me. So that is definitely a positive. A is for anticipation, a book, new release or not, that you are very much looking forward to reading. Still Crow Saga by Paul Krueger. Okay. 9 is for A is for Actually, a book you didn't expect to like, but did. I'm going to go with Hidden Sun by Jane Finn. When I read the blurb on Amazon and was really debating whether or not I wanted to buy this book, I was very unsure about it. There was something about the description that kind of didn't sit well with me, but having read it, and I love it. It's just a phenomenal book. A is for affected. A character, book, or writer you feel is pretentious. I'm going to have to go with The Refrigerator Monologues by Catherynne and Valente. The writing in this book is incredibly pretentious. I mean, now, there's a fair amount of Valente's writing. It does verge on the pretentious. Sometimes it works, as it does in Radiance, and sometimes it completely does not work, as it does here in The Refrigerator Monologues, where the style does not match really the story or stories that Valente is wanting to tell, and I don't think the style is effective here. Oh, yeah. Number 11. A is for How's It Going, eh? A book you like by a Canadian writer, or one you want to read. I'm going to go with Kings of the Wyld by Nicholas Eames. I'm assuming Eames is a Canadian writer. I know he currently, as of the blurb in the biography of this book, he lives in Toronto, so I'm assuming he is probably Canadian. So, but I read Kings of the Wyld in 2017 and greatly enjoyed it. It is a blast and highly, highly recommended. I mean, there are a few issues, but I really greatly enjoyed it. 12 is A is for Anticlimactic. A book you thought fizzled out at the end. I hate to do this. I absolutely do, but Perdido Street Station by China Mieville. So I don't know necessarily if China Mieville can actually write an effective ending. There's just always like, there's a climax, this big scene, and then there's sort of like a period after it where the story kind of wraps up, but it's just that wrapping up neither matches this big scene or really satisfies. It just sort of ends. And I think Perdido Street Station really typifies that. Although maybe I should have picked The Scar, now that I think about it. But so basically at the end of Perdido Street Station, spoiler warning, Isaac and his friends have defeated the Slake Moths, these monsters who feed on sentience. And they produce a sort of a drug that, or their milk can be refined into a drug that basically gives people the dreams of the Slake Moths victims. And so mostly the Slake Moths have been defeated, destroyed. But there's one left, and this one returns to the place where it grew up, which is the base of a local crime lord who was using the Slake Moths to produce dream shit. The protagonist, Isaac, and his surviving allies go to the gangster's base and rescue her, and the last Slake Moth attacks, and just it kind of ends very, very disappointingly with the main character, a friend of his, and his love interest, who has been partially consumed by the last Slake Moth, fleeing the city, and it is just really disappointing. And finally, 13 is A is for all the booktubers. Tag a SWAC of people. What does SWAC mean? Never heard of it. Anyway, so if you have not done this tag and you are a booktuber who you film videos, I tag you, because I'm pretty. I don't know who all has and hasn't filmed. So if you make videos and you want to do this tag, I urge you to do this tag. Now I need to go put these books back up and finish a book. So I will see you tomorrow. Thank you, BookTube.